We are starting with the second game that is going to be home map of Deities of Death B, and it will be on Conquest and Midgard. So Conquest on Midgard is useless because you usually cannot do a Wonder. Actually, I don't exactly remember if anyone at any time was able to achieve that. That would be really worth a medal, I think. Because if you are going for a Wonder win, the odds are that you are not winning either land or water. So where you are actually going to build the Wonder? Yeah, go figure. Not gonna be easy for you at all. So what are actually the civilizations? I haven't actually checked all that much. That Papercut and Narvi Loki yet again. Heimdall, Oranos also yet again. And then, yeah, it's basically the same. Soloturk was the Poseidon. So everybody playing the same gods as in the last game on the Savannah. We are right now having a look at Skinner, who is coming into the back. Yeah, he should be coming to the bottom, into the corner. With the villager, always you want to go for the more bountiful part of the water, but he's probably right now figuring out that he is actually in the pocket, or not the other one, flank against Narvi, which he is probably a bit afraid of, and he's right now heading to the top, which is also not a good idea, because he's of course looking for some kind of good fishies, but not finding anything at all, and he's running a pretty big risk, and there's not going to be all that many of them in there either. In the meantime, Soloturk is definitely having a good one in the corner, already seen one of the fishies right next to the dock, and the yellow is going a bit more to the front, which is of course quite a nice idea, because he is aiming exactly doing to do the other stuff than Mystic Licks aka Skinner is doing, and that is aiming into corner for more of the fishies. Something similar for Papercut, also kind of halfway there into the corner of the map. Full corner, of course, for the pocket Aigo Heimdall, and at the bottom Narvi is definitely not going in there into the middle corner at the bottom all that much, just come in where it was the closest, because he is the north and he definitely needs Ulfsark to go do something else as soon as possible, which is for example building house and then scouting around the map. A lot of berries, good news for all the players, so that their build orders will be a bit more reliable, and already finding some extra fishies in here, not really bad placement of the dock in the end. So yep, even though it's not going to be anything like Anatolia or Mediterranean, it's still pretty decent, and we should be expecting that purple player will be discovering some fishes about this position also reasonably soon. Otherwise, everybody having nice positions, not really bad at all. It's pretty much one of the best so far for Papercut, and also not half bad for Heimdall, whereas for Soloturk it's even better. And I'm kind of thinking that he might have won the lottery in here, as this really doesn't seem half bad for his gameplay in this game. Looking at, for example, the town centers and the relics, are we seeing something all that interesting? Well, this is not in water range. It's close, but not. The same as the one at the top, even though... Well, no. Nah, that's too far away. But the gold is. The gold is potentially problematic from the water, but it's not like he's going to need it all that much. He's having one on the right. And since it is between him and his teammate, and there is a town center that is going to be protecting 1 and 2 gold mines, it's going to be pretty much okay, really, not any kind of problem for him. Otherwise, checking the town centers, nothing really in the water range, as is expected, and how the map usually spawns, and we are seeing some first relic that is for better human soldier pierce armor. Pretty great for any kind of Norse, and that will help in their gameplay. 5% villager food, rather wood and gold get rates. Very nice one. Better villager farming rate, oh, that's a nice duo, farming and wood and gold. So both of these, if they go to one player, he's going to be one hell of an economy. That would be a really good echo for him. Another better myth unit crash armor. Yeah, we have seen that last game. That sucks. Or last match, I think, already. And we are going to be looking at docks and being supplemented by temples about now, as the Ulfsark from Papercut is just coming home with the Loki, and will be hoping to drop out some Hersirs as soon as possible and go into deep and make his life difficult yet again. This time is going to be the green player Papercut against him, not really Aigo Heimdall. Aigo Heimdall is in the pocket, so probably just going to be engaging in a lot of Turma raiding. You'll be expecting probably double counter barracks, one military barracks, I would be thinking. That would kind of make sense, if I remember the buildings correctly, that is, because I don't really play at these. Military counter barracks should be Turmas, right? Yes. Oh man, such a good memory. Such things in here going on. In the meantime, of course, we are going to be seeing Prometheus already almost in for red. Forseti just clicked in, Narvi a bit further ahead. Nothing clicked in from Skinner yet. It's now getting there enough food for his advance, and he's having how many? That's 4, or rather 6. Okay, so it's 5. Just now having enough resources and still not clicking in, just now getting into, oh, into Hermes and 3 villages. So that's going to be a literal ton of centaurs from him coming into the radiant of the opponents. So interesting and definitely curious how that's going to be panning out, because it was working quite alright for Deef last time around. But this time he's going for Athena, and not any kind of centaurs are going to be coming for him. So I'm not exactly certain what's going to be the plan. He has built a dock in the middle, basically close by to paper cut, so they are going to be having a full-on 1v1 between themselves. Really looking that way. Whereas red is already sending boats to the bottom, looking at the minimap. Already looking at the red dots, so probably going to be a 2 versus 2 at the bottom. But first, before that, it's going to be 2 versus 1. So Aigo Heimdall is also moving in with the oracles, trying to get rid of the dock of Skinner before it's actually going to be any kind of danger of producing 3 MS for the effort. Movesark and Hersier coming for a relic, which is what? A gold trickle. Gold trickle coming in, and oh, unfortunately you are fighting yourself at the wrong spot at the wrong time, as you will definitely need a bit of extra help, not only from the Promethean, but exactly from Eyvinder Vivendauter. What a name. Get rid of this pesky centaur, which is of course not good news for Skinner, because apparently due to the number of villagers spraying in there, it's almost looking like that he was quite intent on the centaur polemarchs, and on top of that, few more guys on, well, no, not on the horses, actually be in the horses. So blue boats coming into the purple base, as of course Steel is so far not really doing all that much to help, so probably was hoping that there's not gonna be all that much of a water fight, but at the same time at the top, Deef seems to be doing quite well against Papercut, handling his own. Oh well, reinforcements though coming up, and potentially a bit of a problem for him, but it's almost looking like that there's actually a pretty good plan by Deef. He's supporting his attack by hoplites from the land, and this might be a pretty good opportunity quite soon for restoration once he gets a bit more of them, I'm thinking. He is already quite nicely established in there, unfortunately just now discovered by Papercut, so Heresiers and maybe even some mythical units are going to be coming up pretty soon from the Swinemocker. What a name. What a name. So we are probably just literally waiting for that, for correct moment for restoration for Deef. So far doesn't seem to be coming, as he doesn't have even enough food for continuous production for hoplites, unfortunately, as the water battle at the bottom is not really going on. There's literally no battle to be had, as neither Skinner nor Soloturk are fighting for it at all, which might be some kind of idea. It's actually not that bad, because on Midgard, usually the water economy is not that strong as, for example, on Merit or Anatolia, because you don't have all that many fishies close by, and you need to spend a lot on docks and such, which usually doesn't happen, because it's hard to defend also and similar. And once you are actually certain that you just want your opponent to commit a bit more into water than you are, then you might be reaping the benefits of that if you are prepared for some early raiding, which might be some kind of idea from Soloturk, who has already taken second DC as the very first one, so his economy is going to be quite strong indeed, and Skinner's also. So yep, there's definitely a plan behind this from Team Mystic. As the water battle at the top is quite alright for Deef, but unfortunately he's going to be sorely disappointed, because of course those boats from Heimdall, as soon as they finish with the last dock of Soloturk, will be moving upwards the waters, and will be trying to deal and help his teammate with those green boaties in there. In the meantime, there's still going on a bit of raiding, or rather still some starting raiding going on by Narve, just hanging around the DC, maybe looking if we can steal it. But at the same time, of course, there's also a bit of an attempt at the bottom on the tree line, and he has unfortunately lost the troll, who was shooting all across the tree line onto the villages, which is definitely not something that Skinner would be wanting. He doesn't want his economy slowed at all, and even though he did have Odysseus in there to defend, he really didn't want to risk anything at all. Okay, switching into farms, because the water is basically lost. Red right now finally finding himself in Yellow's base of operations. Yellow didn't even invest into Pursein, because why would he? He was expecting that water will be lost, but he did at least make sure that Paper Cut would be fully going on the water, and that of course resulted into the fact that the land fight did have a pretty good chance for him, even though he's right now losing the military academy, which will quite probably mean that he will lose this fight also. And at this point, I would be kind of thinking that he needs to retreat with the army, because apparently the time for restoration has already passed. There's really no use for it right now, and it's going to be better used a bit later in some more important engagements somewhere else, for example, maybe at the bottom, where yet again Narvi is already trying to steal a TC, and apparently Brent Laketosser, was a bit too impatient, and he got stuck in the building. But since he is in town center, he should be getting rid of it, or rather, getting out of it a bit later. Once it gets finished, he should be able to garrison and then get out of it altogether. But, yeah. Just to be careful. Just to be careful what he wishes for next time around. Pushing forward, basically making sure that Solo Turk is not all that open for raiding, or rather available for raiding. Even though he does have a pretty huge army of Hippicons. 11 Hippicons, that's not bad. And what he's going to be finding... Oh. Oh. Yeah, those 3 are not gonna be enough. Those might. But against Hippicons, no, nah, that's not gonna be enough. This is important. This shockwave might help. That definitely could save him. And it seems like that Solodruk thinks the same. The shockwave definitely was the game changer in here. But really, Narvi should be a bit more careful, because this is kinda potentially a risk for him. Because even though he is attempting to steal town center in the front, that is right now not succeeding. So this poor guy is just going to be stuck there forever. Until, for example, Hippolyta kills him. That's going to be easy pickings for her. Yeah, poor guy. Poor guy indeed. We are also looking, for example, all around the map where not much else is happening, so let's just see on this demise, and then we're gonna move, for example, at the top, where green is running around the yellow's base. Yep, finally. Going to Valhalla from his earthly prison, and green is just now going all around the yellow base, who has been establishing himself right next to his own base, because of course he has lost all that he had in here, but he's still quite well prepared for a bit of raiding on the villages of Paper Cut. And 80s of Death B, well, even though they have won the water, they still will have a pretty big fight and long fight ahead of themselves. That's exactly what was proven in the last game. Because TMs, they are no pushovers. That was just at the last moment then researched by Paper Cut to help him in the defense, as Narve coming for a town center near his teammate. That is actually front, I think. Yeah, he already is established next to gold. This is important. This will give him pretty good control of the gold mine in there, potentially allowing him to somehow control what his opponents gather from. Once they are running out of the middle of the map, that they are, rather, the mines in the middle of the map that they are having. Soloturk is still going for a lot of raiding all across the map, just now sending another flank into the bottom, nicely played, dividing the attention, luring all the red army behind them and leaving just a few units at the bottom to deal with those. Okay, nicely played, especially with the medium Hippicons. I actually think he could have taken the fight. And that might have worked for him, as Imrol is also trying to finish with a 30C. So this is actually a pretty critical moment for Deities of Death. And it seems like that it's going to be working for them quite alright. In the meantime, let's check what Green is doing. Finding the second TC, unfortunately he's there quite late, so I'm not gonna stop anything at all. And with all the Toxots being ready, Hersiers are probably not going to be all that effective anymore in here, as Purple is just trying to finish with the town center, but just might be disrupted by those Hersiers. But it's still quite ways off, and might not even attempt to actually go for them. In the meantime, a few Hersiers have dealt with a few Hippicons at the back, with the Teal army still being very much alive, trying to raid around, but not all that much effectively. So their effectiveness is right now in the fact that they are basically making sure that Heimdall is not raiding himself. He does have a few units at the top, such as guys popping up with the dogs. They are coming, for example, from the bottom, or I think all the way across. Interesting. Nasrat is still just continuing in pursuing those guys and not really having much of luck in that. Not really indeed, so apparently there's going to be a bit of hoplite trading. And he's arriving at the spot at the same time as the Hippigons. So that could be... Oh, he's running into the TC. Not a good idea. He needs to go somewhere else. For example, into his allies TC. As of course, this could have been played slightly better by Swallowturk by cutting off the route, which is right now exactly what he's doing. And unfortunately, Narvi... Oh, he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to change the course like this. He wanted to run away still, but the TC is down, much more important, and gold mining is also off. What the hell? Do you see this? One hit point. One hit point left on the town center. Oh, that just happened. Now that was a clutch ceasefire. If it wasn't from your ally stopping your attack. What the freaking hell. Oh man. If you wanted to plan this, you wouldn't be able to do so. One hit point. And exactly at that point, ceasefire gets cast by your teammate. Oh. Well. Oh well, oh well, oh well. Not good news. Not good news at all right now for TMs. Who are hoping to right now buy themselves a bit of time. Not exactly sure what was the reason for this ceasefire. Probably the attack by Red on the town center, as Swallowturk wanted to somehow secure his position in here himself. Well, let's see. Purple should be still finishing with the town center because it's very low on hit points. But right now the boar with the extra attack might be messing things up quite significantly, which exactly is happening. But I'm fairly certain that TC is gonna come down, but it will be at quite significant cost right now. And I would be wrong, because right now, unfortunately, Skinner is targeting not the building, but all the units all around, which is of course the terrible idea. He's gonna lose everything. And he is exactly losing everything. The TC will survive, as we are looking at Swallowturk casting the bronze, because he's fighting full on against Heimdall, who has used the ceasefire quite well indeed, to build his forward base right next to his opponent. And of course this will be a pretty huge problem for the Teal, as even though he's attempting to build a fortress right now, I'm not exactly sure if he's going to be succeeding in the long run. In the meantime, at the top, green player also knocking on the door of Deef. Knocking on the door of the yellow player, and yellow player is kinda struggling right now because he's still in the classic rage Skinner as well, and I don't exactly think that he's gonna be having enough to advance. 6. Well, he's having a ton of gold, that's what he's having. And he's not advancing to the next age, but Heimdall and Papercut are. Ooh, that's gonna get ugly. Bit of raiding with the archers. Fortunately not finding anything significant. TC is secure. Fight in the middle is going as we expected right now for Igor Heimdall, slowly but surely. It's nothing really all that confirmed because Swallowturk has played pretty well last game and he is quite nicely upgraded, so it's alright, at least as far as line upgrades go. Video Hippigons are decent. He's having copper and line, or rather copper, mail and weapons. Good enough for red, and mediums and the same. So they are pretty much equal right now, and it's going to be up to the switch in the ages into Mythical Age. So Mythical Age is coming up for me, Papercut, which will probably result in some horrible disaster for Deef, or maybe even Swallowturk himself, because apparently those guys are a bit more intent into Dublin, the pocket player. Not bad idea at all. This is not anything for Purple, because Purple is just fighting with Narvi at the bottom, and the battlefield is not really moving anywhere all that much. It's just looking that actually Skinner is having upper hand. But he needs some extra units in here. He cannot really win this by just plates because of course Narvi is catching up, building already heavy throwing axemen, copper mail, copper shields, various steel. Purple is the right color. He's having just heavy and not any kind of armory upgrades, which of course is not gonna work against all those mythical units which just Loki is gonna spawn against him. So he has advanced through, so Heracles should be coming up right after the fortified TC, I would be hoping. But of course Deef is in a pretty tough situation, trying to save his base by some towers, and the archers just now coming home from the raiding and hoping that it's going to be enough. In the hawk, one bolt into him. Do they have second? I don't think so. I think that was already used a bit ago on the troll at the bottom by Skinner. Artarian Gate has been cast. Well, I think in teal. Yeah, in teal. New Hippigons, some militias. That's actually a reason why it might not be a best idea to actually cast it on a Poseidon, because even though they might kill some buildings, they are gonna get some extra militia out of it, which of course is gonna help. And the town center for Deep is down, which means he's down to 2. Nidhogg's still kinda alive, but not really for much longer, because Odysseus is working diligently in making him fall to the ground head first, and rather face first. Okay, so it's going to be attempt at more than the DC and the villagers, with another attempt at pushing forward by Paper Cut exactly from his side. It's definitely a nice idea, pushing from both sides at once, having Champion throwing X-Men, and the baseline of upgrades, which means that Skinner is forced to cast Ceasefire himself, because really the situation is quite dire for Deep, and he definitely needs some kind of help from either his teammate Solo Turk or by Skinner, rather from Skinner. But of course Skinner is having pretty significant problems himself with Narvi, and even though Narvi is just at 2 TC, Skinner at 3, it seems like that he is doing quite fine indeed. Where are actually the remaining town centers? One is right now being rebuilt by Deep, that's the 3rd. Where's the 3rd for Dots? Is it being built somewhere? Ah, yeah, right now Narvi is building the 3rd, okay. I was kind of looking around if maybe there wasn't some kind of bug I missed, but I didn't think so. It's just taken a bit of time, that's going to be 20 minutes up to the 3rd town center, and trying to actually wall himself up, which is not a bad idea, because he needs to protect the gold and be impervious to any kind of attempts at potential raiding by the opponents. In the meantime, finally switch for Skinner, aka Mystic Clicks, into Toxots, which should result in a retreat of Narvi. It should be an army that he should be able to fight. Heavy with Copper Shield, whereas Green is establishing himself at the back with the temple and hoping that he can be a bit more of a pain in the arse than he already is for the yellow player, and not only for him, for Solo Turk as well. This town center should be toast. There doesn't seem to be enough army from yellow to be able to stop this. Not any kind of help is gonna come, because of course Steel is quite fully engaged with his opponent Red, and Paper Cut right now going for the flaming weapons, just going to be confirming his supremacy at the top and also slightly at the bottom. But right now this is a bit more important, because of course Skinner is gonna lose the TC, which will help significantly together with the Nidhogg to Narvi, who is gonna be advancing forward. So restoration not only for the units, but also for actually some kind of repair of the town center, I think. But yeah, didn't really help all that much even with the bronze. So town center down, Deep at 2, whereas the town center for Skinner has already fallen, with Solo Turk coming a bit too late to secure it, but of course it's not like he can do a whole lot more. He is doing what he can to deal with Heimdall, but Heimdall is having 2 ways into the opponent's bases, basically at 2 town centers, and he's definitely making use of that strategic advantage. So now we're coming in with the flaming weapons and a whole ton of piggies, which is, yeah, exactly a big problem, unless Skinner is going to be coming into Imperial Age, aka Mythical Age. Hephaestus is up, so yes, it's going to be coming up, and that will mean, more than anything else, a lot of fun to deal with exactly those dudes. That might actually be still turning the game around, because that's the most important reason right now, that he is not doing all that well. In the meantime, Solo Turk has lost a town center to the assault from the front, or rather from the back. From the back it seems like. Yeah, from the back, and that actually it was because of some very tricky mountain giants from the temple at the back. This is very nicely played by Paper Cut and in collusion with the Tartarian gate, so very nicely played indeed, as we are following the push forward from Narvi at the bottom, who is right now quite strongly knocking on the door, but doesn't seem to be working all that much. He's really losing a ton of army. Town centers built and lost for Solo Turk and Skinner. Skinner is back at 3, Solo Turk has lost the TC in the front, but unfortunately he will need a bit more help, probably from Skinner, because Skinner is doing a good job against Narvi, but in the middle he's having all kinds of problems against Heimdall, who is having heavy Murmilos with baseline, with Solo Turk being aware, champions already, with Copper. Yeah, well, it's not that bad, but apparently he doesn't have strong enough economy, and right now he doesn't have even population limit to be able to handle his opponent just there, so Heimdall really winning the battle as much as he can. At the top, Thief still being kept at 2 town centers, as Paper Cut is attempting his best to steal his base TC and also all the farms. That's another very important spot, but he is just now coming into the next stage, and he'll see that Hiras got power to get rid of all the army basically, and this is gonna annihilate everything. This is gonna be quite helpful indeed. Good hits to help him in the defense, and since he is left with pretty decent amount of army, he should be quite fine to stop at least this town center for the time being. And the Medusa, well, she doesn't have any targets, because these are all heroes. Basically this throwing axeman will be the only target for her, so need to be careful about the micro in there, but in the meantime in the middle, Solo Turk is right now fighting for his life, because he is facing a potential 4TC Heimdall who is just now attempting to take it, but unfortunately for him, exactly this is the strength of Poseidon, and that's these militias. If you lose a whole lot of buildings, basically do building spam, which is something that you should do. But Poseidon, you're gonna be having army for nothing, and even though it's not altogether that strong, it's not bad either. It's actually pretty significant help, exactly as you can see right now, together with Polyphemus on top of it. At the bottom, the battle is not going anywhere all that much. This is a Death Narvi fighting against you Mystic Skinner, aka Mystic Quicks, quite fine. And both are having champion armies. Baseline of upgrades for purple. For blue it is bronze, and iron already. So he should be just on the sheer strength of his upgrades, coming forward and possibly even victorious out of the battle. But he is facing Zeus, so potentially there is a bit of a chance still left for purple. But it has to be said that he will need to keep all the 3 town centers, which is unfortunately proving quite difficult, because Heimdall is not only keeping in check Solo Turk, he is also right now annoying Skinner, and he's right now asking for help, but unfortunately the help is just not gonna come, because Solo Turk is doing what he can. It's not like he's doing bad, he's actually doing alright, but Heimdall is just playing clever. He's just playing quite clever, and binding all the army from Solo Turk, whereas and in a few extra units grew back to get rid of the town centers, which is very nice raiding by the 5 siphons. Nicely played indeed. In the meantime, in the front, there is still a desperate attempt by a paper cut to steal from the town center from Deep, who have both lost the town center. What? That was a weird message. I missed something. No, it was probably Solo Turk. Well, I don't know. There was just 2 messages in there, something with a TC for Deep. But apparently I must have misread it or some such, not exactly sure. But TC is up for paper cut and he is at 4, which should be basically the last nail into the coffin of Deep. He shouldn't be able to take this town center for himself anymore, because he's not even in any kind of shape to defend against what is coming, and purple, or rather green, is just pushing forward, whereas even though purple is doing what he can to get the town centers back up and running, it's not proving really all that easy, because of course Red is still doing a great job, but might not be really for much longer, because those heavy hippicons, with already bronze weapons at least, are pushing forward and trying to deal with the army that is coming his way. Narvi in the meantime has lost the town center, because there's pretty decent raiding by Skinner, so he's basically employing exactly what is being employed against him. So nice job, and this will definitely help him, because even though he was having a very equal fight against Narvi, he was still struggling with the 2 town centers, and right now he's at least helping himself by putting his opponent at exactly the same situation. It's going to be all up to Bellerophon to save his side and get rid of the fire giants as soon as possible. Yeah, half health town center. Center still down for Skinner, the front one for the teal player, Solo Turk as well. And is there going to be some kind of plan to take it from Narvi? Apparently not. Those Ulfsarks are just going to be waiting there from Narvi to take it for themselves, as Green is just ever pushing forward, right now quite close by through the 2nd and 3rd EC of Deep, and it seems like that he is not going to be letting on at all, and Deep might be yet again the first one, unfortunately, for TMs to be reduced to 0 TCs. Yeah, Skinner right now signaling the back TC, exactly that. That is basically the problem why he's losing against Narvi, or not really winning, that's better said. But Solo Turk, he is doing what he can. But yet again, have to repeat, Heimdall is just playing this very nicely. So Deep being dropped to 1 TC, probably going to be following into 0 reasonably soon. He's of course going to be unable to defend against 4 town center paper cut with just 1 TC, and of course right now it is coming down as he's resigning, and Skinner losing the TC in the front as well, going to be reduced to just 1 and 0 just now, which means that this match is going to be ending as a duo win for the ATs of Death B after very nice fights in both of these games. So DMB, well, kudos for a very good performance and very well played games. You definitely did not make it any easier than it needed to be. Really not easy game for the ATs of Death, like at all. Pretty well played indeed. So let's check the post game. Who is gonna be winning? Heimdall, have to agree. His middle play against both Solo Turk and Skinner basically won the game. Especially significantly helped Narvi, because it almost looked like that Skinner should be able to beat Narvi in a 1v1. It really looked that way. Fortunately for Deef, Paper Cut was a bit more than he could handle. And yes, Solo Turk, good echo. Good echo. But Heimdall wasn't bad either, back in there. Some good stats? Not really. It's so funny as in the last game. Wow, such swings in here. Such big swings. Alright, GG.